Record. And we're live in 4, 3. And we're back. Welcome, Factory of Sadness. Back to the Week 5 preview. Big Cat here, coming to you from Sugar Falls, Ohio. And as always, Dave Smith. How are you, Smitty?
Yeah, doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm at my wit's end here with the COVID, especially when it relates to fantasy football, which is really the only thing keeping me going.
Yeah, that's not great.
It's just hard to plan around. So quick summary, the Bills game, I guess, is getting moved to Tuesday. They were
Allegedly.
supposed to, that's 50-50 at best. The Jets had a positive test, so that game's in question. I guess the Steelers and the Patriots are good. So, it's good to have depth on your team, I guess is really what it comes down to.
Or just to be a bullet dodger.
Yep, which is not my forte. I catch every bad break there is, it seems.
There he is. Hey-o.
So,
all right.
Including last night when I tormented myself over starting the tight end from the Bears. What's his name?
Jimmy Graham. I started
had
Jimmy Graham.
had him in, and then took him out of the last second.
Touchdown.
And he scored a touchdown. But, he's only going to score if he catches touchdown, so it's still pretty risky. But, I'll probably lose by 3 points, and that'll probably be the difference.
Right. I went out on the scrap heap, the waiver wire. I picked up Scotty Miller, with Godwin out.
Yep. Did he do good?
He had 0 points.
0.00.
Yeah. So
not great.
Not how you want to start the week. But it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. All right. So Big Cat bringing up the COVID stuff. Just a reminder on the depth chart piece, which is super important this week because now we have Jets Cardinals in question, the Bills and Titans. God knows what's going to happen there. And, at this point, any positive test on any team could submarine this week. So Thursday night's behind us, but make sure you guys send a depth chart for appropriate players that are at risk. And even if you don't think they're at risk, I suggest just sending a depth chart of your guys so we know who to plug in. If there's last minute cancellations or God knows what's going on out there. So email those to me and Derek before kickoff on Sunday at 1:00. So we know how to apply the rest of your bench players to your starting lineup should that become an issue. So please remember to do that. I know some guys have already done it because they had guys on Thursday going. So.
Yep. So it has a little complication in there, but it's really the only fair way to do it because you can't be, trying to make lineup decisions without knowing if games are going to go off or not.
Correct. And yeah, I mean, like the Bills thing too. It's like you can go all weekend and then Tuesday mornings, the Titans pump out another positive test and all of a sudden you don't have that game. And now, Danny Vera, who traded away the best player at his position for Josh Allen, can't start Josh Allen. So I'm just going to spite him and not allow him to start another quarterback.
Well, that's a good segue into our first segment here. So why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, so we had a hiatus last week, but I'd like to cover week 3 and week 4 just with the weekly awards. I'm not going to go through game by game. That would be mind-numbing. So week 3. So our week 3 boner of the week, top scoring player is no surprise in this spot, Patrick Mahomes, who put up 47 points in that Monday night matchup against the Ravens. He did that on 385 yards passing for 4 touchdowns, 26 yards rushing, and 1 rushing touchdown. Pretty good. Bench warmer of the week. I kind of had trouble finding one, so I picked myself, and here's why. I benched Emmanuel Sanders, who had 4 for 56 for a touchdown, 13.6 points. I lost a heartbreaker to the Big Cat in week 3. And My other two receivers that I chose to start over Emmanuel Sanders, who was my 5th round pick, were Russell Gage, who put up 3.6 points, 2 for 26, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 1 point on 1 catch for 5 yards. Had I just stuck to my guns, played my guy that I drafted in the 5th round, I would have had a win over the Big Cat. I'd be 2-2. He'd be 1-3, but I fucked it up. So there you go. Lou Brown, Coach of the Week. Get ready for a recurring theme. In week 3, it was Glenn, person, woman, man, camera, TV. I believe a season high, 227.9 points that week at 97.6% efficiency. Unbelievable job. The only possible change that he could have made to score more points was to sit Drew Sample, tight end, Cincinnati, for whatever the fuck his name is, McKissick, out of Washington. I mean, so basically a perfect starting lineup for Glenn. 227.9 points, good for top money. Well done, very impressive, Glenn. Moving on, week 4, boner of the week. This is another quarterback. No surprise to the Browns fans in the house. It is Dak Prescott for Panda Man. In week 4, he came in for 46.28 points. He had 502 yards passing. That's right, 502 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 12 rushing yards, a passing 2-point conversion, a rushing 2-point conversion, 1 interception, 1 fumble, and 1 loss. So there we go. So Dak's really delivering for Panda this year. Top scorer of the week. Well done. Bench warmer of the week. Baker's Brownies left Jamison Crowder on the bench. Crowder missed a couple weeks, came back for that game. I think it was a Thursday night game, I believe. He missed out on 7 catches for 104 yards, 16.9 points. It didn't cost him the win, but it did cost him some money. He missed the 3rd place money by 8.24 points. And he would have cleared that. I think he started a guy that scored like 2 or 3 points. So last week's games, honestly, there wasn't a single close game. There was no start sit decision that caused someone to lose.
Interesting.
Yeah, like every losing team, their potential points were lower than the winning team's actual points. Like it was just a murder session out there. So the Lou Brown Coach of the Week. Any guesses?
Pandemonium.
Glenn Schillinger, person, woman, man, camera, television, 218.42 points on 99.6% efficiency. There you go. Pretty good. Not pretty good, very good. So we're going to roll that right into a little segment, Derek, that I would like to call Factory, We Have a Problem.
A big fucking problem.
Big problems, big problems. So our problem is Glenn. Let me tell you why he's a problem, man. He is just blowing the doors off of the league. All right. So I'm going to give you some stats because I was amazed and horrified to see this. But Glenn, sit back, relax, and let me juice your tires for a few minutes here. Glenn, in the 4 weeks so far, he's had top points twice. He had 3rd place points once. And the only week he didn't finish in the money, he was number 6 in the league and still scored 167.92 points. So his scoring has been out of control. Year to date, he has 782.02 points. League average is 626.16 points. Glenn is exceeding league average at this point by 25%. So 25% more points than your average team scores is what Glenn scores. It's even crazier if you back Glenn out of the league average scoring. If you pull Glenn's scores out, it brings it down to 612 points. In that way, he's 28% ahead of the league average. So basically, you need to score 28% more points than you're supposed to if you want to beat Glenn. Good luck there.
Smitty coming in with the advanced analytics right there.
Got some more for you, Big Cat. Don't sleep.
Oh, boy.
So the question is, how did this happen, right? What happened? What the fuck is going on here? So Glenn has the number 1 quarterback, Russell Wilson. He has the number 1 running back, Alvin Kamara. He has the number 6 wide receiver, Amari Cooper, the number 13 wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, the number 3 tight end in the league. Any guesses on who that might be? Number 3. This
Kittle?
is total points for the year.
Kittle?
Incorrect.
Oh.
Incorrect.
Who's that?
Robert Tonyan, number 3 tight end in the league. He had like 30-something points last week. It's early in the season. I get it. Kittle is number 8 in the league. And guess what? He's only played 2 games. 2. And he's the 8th best tight end. Okay. Defensive line, the number 6 D line in the league, Aaron Donald, and the number 5 defensive back in the league, James Bradbury. Bottom line, Glenn is starting top tier guys at nearly every position. Linebacker, he's holding tight. He doesn't have a super high scorer there, but incredible performances out of nearly every position for Glenn. You can see it out in the scores. So Derek, my question for you is, are we fucking doing this? Is this a Glenn thing? Have we got a fucking problem? Tell me it ain't so.
Well, the beauty about fantasy football is no one's really ever out of it. So I can speak to that from a position of power. In the last 2 seasons, 2 years ago, my team was really pretty good, but last year it was freaking awesome. And while I did win some money, I did not win it all either of those 2 years. So front running from the beginning, it's difficult to see it all the way through, because to be a front runner, you have to have luck. That's really what it comes down to. You need to have good matchups and you need to have no injuries, right? So, I'm certainly not the only guy. My 2 best players are out, have been for a while. I have a host of other injuries. One guy my safety never even made it on the field. Looks like my defensive end is not going to play at all this year. So, it's an ebb and flow, but right now, if you don't project any injuries going forward, it's hard to come up with any kind of reasonable argument for Glenn to lose any games whatsoever. So we got a big problem. And, I understand what Danny Barrow was trying to do, so I'm never going to bag on anyone's trades.
Except for mine, you fucking asshole.
Well, I don't like you. No, but it's well, that's a good point. So when you're making a trade, you not only have to figure out what you're getting back, but you have to figure out what the receiving team is getting. So, Glenn now has the best tight end. If he's on the field, it's a huge advantage because there's maybe only 3. I would say there's only 3 or 4 tight ends at the most that you can count on every single week. Sometimes even the good tight ends don't produce based on the game plan.
It's been a wasteland. It's Kittle when he's on the field. It's Kelsey, and it's Mark Andrews, and that's the only 3 guys that I feel comfortable rolling out there on a week-to-week basis.
No doubt.
And I don't have any of them.
And Mark Andrews can throw up a goose egg because they just got so many weapons. If Lamar Jackson's running around like crazy, he's not going to score as many points. So yeah, that gives him a huge leg up. Obviously he's hurt. He's getting a little bit older. The way that guy plays, he just plays 1,000% at all times, which in the NFL can be dangerous. So, but if he stays on the field, man, that is a huge advantage to have over the rest of the league. So, right now, it's going to be tough to bring him down, but I think one thing we can all agree on, everyone hopes that Glenn loses. So maybe we can chip away at him a little bit here.
Yeah, it's a big time problem because especially when you consider that, as Kittle, and last week he put those points up without Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Derrick Henry's buy is done. I know Tennessee's a disaster with COVID right now, but Derrick Henry hasn't even started rolling. He hits his stride at the end of October. So I think it's a big problem. Glenn is a very strong team. Now, just like anybody else, he's one injury away from changing the makeup of how his team sits. But, he's been fortunate with injuries so far. But, he got through the Derrick Henry thing. He's been fighting through the A.J. Brown thing. Jared Cook, he lost. Corey Davis is now COVIDed out. Like he's well invested in Tennessee and still survived and scored top points last week when they had a surprise bye. So that kind of doesn't bode well for the rest of the league. I mean, he's on a heater. He's on a heater, and he'll lay an egg at some point. But the issue that I see is him laying an egg might be 150 points,
right?
Which is still going to be good to beat, at least a third of the league. If he has a good matchup that week, he'll still win. So, speaking of the rest of the league, you want to do rankings?
Let's do it. So if you are on the website, you should see the classic Big Cat power rankings. So first week that those came out. So this takes into account everything that we have at our disposal. So real quick, record, year-to-date points, maximum points if you started all your best starters, efficiency, half of the efficiency numbers counted in, because efficiency sometimes can take into account, if you have a really deep bench, you get hurt a little bit. All play record, future points is the only discretionary one. So that is just the Big Cat, what he thinks is going to happen going forward. Website power ranking and the football guys power ranking. So I know, the draft rankings was a controversial topic, and I've never seen Smitty so upset about something ever in his whole life. But
they were bullshit. It's just bullshit.
It's the only one I got. But basically what it does is it takes all of their projections going forward and adds them all up for who you can actually start. So it's more scientific than anything else that we got. If you're looking at these, you will see that, and I didn't notice this when it was going on, but Glenn has 12s across the board, except for the one discretionary column that I pick out. And I didn't even do it on purpose. I was just kind of doing it quickly. And I'm too lazy to change it, even though I probably should. So that's the first time that's ever happened. So his ranking is 11.88. 12 would be the absolute maximum. So that's got to be a record. I've never seen, even when I was, kind of really had a strong team, efficiency or all play record or something like that. I didn't have 12s across the board. So, from this analysis, I think it's pretty clear there's two top teams. So it's Glenn and Bobby at the top. And then you got a whole bunch of guys in the middle, honestly. Even if you take into account Derelique My Balls, Mike Smith, who's had some killer injury problems. I would say the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams are all pretty equal. But, with all the rankings, in third place, we got Seymour Bush, and in fourth place, we have Butthole Surfers. In my opinion, those are kind of the next two after the first two. And then we have myself, Cream Frisch, Baker's Brownies, who put a nice herning on me last week. Dave Smith, the Brown Eagles, comes in next. So that's kind of my next tier right there. Me, Tony, and Dave, I think, are all basically at a dead heat right now for the third tier. It'll be those 7 teams, I think, fighting it out for the playoffs, at least right now. But as we know, that changes week to week. So to round it off, we have the Bearded Clams and Pandemonium. That's kind of my next mini tier there. And then kind of the bottom 3, Derelique My Balls, smash that subscribe button, and Big Poppy. Although those 3 teams are in a virtual tie as far as these rankings are concerned. So takes a little bit of time to put these together. So I'll try to do them every week so we can kind of see the movements and stuff like that. But that is the Big Cat Power Rankings through 4 weeks.
Wonderful. So my method is much less scientific. It is purely the eyeball method. I put a lot of weight on points scored so far. All play records is something that I look at. I try to I also look at efficiency to see what kind of decisions the owner's making. And, I look at the rosters, but as we go further into the season, I tend to just look back at what's happened instead of try to project what's happened in the future. Because the season kind of writes its own story as it goes on. So my rankings are pretty much the same. Person, woman, man, camera, TV, number one with a bullet, followed by Kamala. Two really strong teams. I have Seymour Bush and Butthole Surfers 3 and 4, just like you. I see them the same way. Their matchup this week is going to be a game for the ages. So that's going to be an exciting game of the week. Number 5, I have the Bearded Clam in there, followed by number 6, Creme Fraiche, and number 7, Brown Eagles. So I have that same little pod of 3 teams, just like you. And then I actually have Baker at number 8. So, I see Clam, Creme, Brown Eagles, Baker kind of in that fighting for those middle 4 spots there. And then down with the bottom feeders, I have it Panda at 9. I have Smash the Subscribe button at 10, Derelict My Balls at 11, and Poppy in his rightful position at the bottom of the barrel. Sorry, Danny, not your season. How's Naheem Hines working out now? You were feeling smart for a while. No mas, not so much anymore, huh? So that's what we got. So I'll get those posted in when I do the posting up here, Big Cat, so that everybody can just kind of look at them instead of it's a pain in the dick to insert them inside the video. So I'm not going to do that again. So let's talk about week 5. We have our week 5 previews brought to you by me and Big Cat. So our first game that we're going to look over, Big Cat, it's going to be the Baker's Brownies 1 and 3 at the Fuck Fantasy Football Brown Eagles 1 and 3. This is a divisional matchup that is going to decide who is going to stand and fight up against Kamala and who is going to go hang out with the losers table, Danny and Mike Smith and Dave Free.
The Stevie Glansberg Award.
Yeah, Steven Glansberg table. The fucking peanut-free table.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take I guess, a bit of an upset here. I'm going to go with Big Poppy.
Hold on. Easy. I think we're talking about Baker's Brownies and the Brown Eagles.
Oh, my bad. Well,
okay.
That's not even my game. Baker's Brownies and the Brown Eagles. All right, so this is going to be it's going to be a hard one to pick here. Baker has some Jets. He's got some Bills in there, I see. He's already got a strong performance from Mike Evans, who was a gamer last night playing on a badly sprained ankle, it looked like. Horrible result there, too. If anyone had the Bucks, that was a rough ending, especially for Tom Brady. This guy right here. He was so confident he even tweeted it out. I saw that.
Fucking Bucks. What a disgrace.
Mm-hmm. Those Thursday night games are just a mess in general.
I know. I should have. I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, God, he's 43. He just played on Sunday. You know he was going to come out and lay a turd.
Yeah. So, I'm going to, what I'm going to do on this one. It's unscientific, but is the basis for most of my picks. I'm going to go with the law of averages pick. Baker had a really good week last week, so I'm going to give this one to the Brown Eagles. Dalvin Cook is a stud. If Julio Jones can get back in the lineup, I like that. And Smitty's got a pretty big advantage, in my opinion, on both tight ends and defense. So, and I actually like Teddy Bridgewater this week too. So I'm going to give that one to you there, Smitty.
All right, man. I like it. I like my running back matchups. I like my defensive matchups as long as all those games go off. I have Buffalo. I have Jordan Poyer on my defense. So, and I already got a goose egg out there, man. I started Scotty Miller, so it's going to be tough, but I think I can pull it off. So I'm actually going to go with you on the Brown Eagles. So Brown, Eagles. Those are check mark for both of us. Look at that. I forgot to tally up our picks. So
we'll get an update next week, maybe.
Yeah, we'll get into it. Depends how this week goes, really.
Or we'll just start over.
Yeah, we'll just start. Everything starts anew. Okay, so I have Big Poppy, 1-3, visiting the Bearded Clam, 2-2. It's a divisional matchup. It's hard to pick Big Poppy. And there's not much else to say besides that.
Not the best color man in the league for nothing.
There is a world where Poppy wins this game, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, no. I am doing something, though.
Yeah, no.
We'll cut this.
I'd say we leave it in. We just need a tight zoom on Smitty's expression as he reflects his life decisions.
As I melt into my seat. There's a world where Poppy wins, right? Josh Allen can put up a ton of points. The Titans defense is not good. Todd Gurley, maybe he gets in the box once or twice. Tyler Boyd is pretty good, but he's got the Ravens. Tyreek Hill against the Raiders should be good. Justin Jefferson. I mean, Seahawks pass defense is not strong. Debo Samuel, Cameron Brate. I mean, he had scored a few points last night, so that's not a 0. So, I mean, there is a world where Poppy could pull this off, but I don't think it's this world. You know what? I do think it's this world. I do. Now, this is contingent on the Titans game going off, right?
Yep.
And I don't see any Jets or Cardinals on Danny's lineup, but, because the Bearded Clam will get hurt too if the Titans-Bills game doesn't go off. He's got Tennessee. He's got Khalif Raymond. He's got Stephon Diggs that he's going to lose in that game. So he'll lose 2 players to Danny's 1. Yeah, you know what? I'm going Poppy. Crazy, but I'm going to go Poppy on this one.
Give me Poppy too. I like his wide receivers a lot. I like Justin Jefferson. I like Debo this week. I think he has a good week.
Yeah, not bad.
All right. So Panda at Derelict. So I mentioned already. Bad luck already for Derelict. Trying to find it here. His best player hasn't really played other than part of the first week. And frankly, his lineup shows it. He's got the Ernest Johnson from the Browns in the starting lineup. Ayuk from San Francisco is really good after that play he had. Chase Claypool is a big play gamble. His lineup just really isn't that great this week. Panda obviously needs garbage time Prescott to come through. 75% of his points have been scored when the game's essentially been out of reach. But his wide receivers are really weak. He's starting 3 tight ends, it looks like right now. I don't know if he probably hasn't submitted his lineup yet. So this is going to be a low-scoring matchup. I am going to give the nod to Pandemonium based on Dax alone. That's really the difference maker. I see a whole bunch of poop, and I see Dax. So Dax against Phillip Rivers, I'm going to give it to Dax and the Panda Man.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. We're going all the same directions, but the way I see this is Panda. Dak is always dangerous. Although it would be ironic if Dak has a poor game because they're playing the Giants, who are equally as bad as the Cowboys. Like, what if they're playing with a lead? Then what happens?
Right.
But Jarvis Landry is good. Tate against the Cowboys should be a good matchup. Zach Ertz is good. Myles Garrett, need him to get after Phil Rivers. But what I don't like about Derelict's starting group is the 2 Pittsburgh wide receivers against the Eagles. The Eagles are not terrible defensively, and that's a lot of eggs in one basket. I kind of feel like one of those guys will have a good game and the other one won't do much. Maybe I'm wrong on that. but yeah, I'm gonna lean Panda with you. I do agree that this is gonna be a stinker, but yeah, I am with you on Panda. So look at us being all lined up on our picks so far. So that brings me to Creme Fraiche 2-2, visiting Person Woman Man Camera TV 4-0. This is another divisional matchup out there. You know, kind of like we said before, how do you pick against Glenn? It's pretty hard. Just looking down that starting lineup, if that Bills Titans game goes off, I just it's a really good starting lineup. I mean, Russell Wilson, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, James White, AJ Brown, Amari Cooper, Terry McLaurin, Kittle, Aaron Donald, Fred Warner, James Bradbury.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it, dude. So, and then also it looks like Derek, you have serious quarterback issues now, because if the Jets game does get called, you're going to end up with Tom Brady's stinker ass game from Sunday. So that was 15.2 points. So yeah, this is a Glenn. Sorry, Derek, you're not going to do it this week. Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
Yeah. When you talk about bad luck playing the best team twice in the first 5 weeks,
At least
that's
you got
bad
it
luck.
At least it's out of the way.
Yeah. So give me Glenn on that one as well.
Alrighty then. Look at this. All right, are we going to diverge from each other at some point? Okay, Derek, you got this one. Smash that subscribe button 1 and 3, and Kamala 3 and 1. I feel like we're going to have the same idea on this one too.
Yeah, I mean, even in a completely messed up outcomes on all these games, there's just no way that Dave Free can keep up with him. He would need a 2012 performance from Big Ben, and everything else breaking his way too. Give me Bobby on this one. I think Bobby's got the top points this week.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby starting a great lineup too. The Nick Chubb injury was a windfall for him, as he has Kareem Hunt there. I do like Jonathan Taylor this week against that Browns defense that is not very good. But I mean, look at that. Bobby's got a great starting lineup too. So yeah, this is all Kamala all day, every day, no doubt about it. So that brings us to our last and final. We have the game of the week, right? This is division leaders, Butthole Surfers at Seymour Busch, both teams 3 and 1. Both whoever wins this takes the divisional lead, and if Butthole Surfers wins, they're going to go to 3 and 0 in the division, 4 and 1 on the season. Seymour Busch will then fall to 1 and 2 in the division, 3 and 2 on the season. It's going to be a tough road to hoe from there for Seymour Busch if he drops this one. So let's get into this one, Derek. How do you see those quarterbacks? We're going to go position by position. So talk to us about the quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson and Uncle Rico.
Well, not much analysis needed here. Lamar Jackson, really awesome at football. Gardner Minshew, not so much. Apparently Lamar Jackson's a little banged up and seeing some stuff on him, but he's definitely playing. And he's playing the Bengals. So he can hurt them through the air or, on the ground. Their defense is really not very good. So big double check mark for Lamar Jackson on the QB side.
Double check mark indeed. So looking at the running backs for me here, we'll talk about Butthole Surfers first. I mean, over there, David Montgomery had a game, right? He had some points, but he had a good game. He had a touchdown. No yards, but a touchdown. Yeah. Okay, so he did have a touchdown. So there's 15.4 on the points, but Keyshawn Vaughn, did he do shit last night?
No.
Get a half a point. How do you get a half a point? He's more than Scotty Miller, right? Fuck.
I'll be honest with you. I've never heard of Scotty Miller ever in my whole entire life.
Well, he's white and he's a receiver for Tom Brady. So Obviously, he's Julian Edelman in a Buccaneers uniform,
Right.
in case you didn't know. Josh Jacobs, always a good start. Antonio Gibson, okay. I tend to try to stay away from Washington when possible. Zeke should, the Giants' run defense is actually not that bad. And Zeke has been kind of like I don't know, that offensive line in Dallas is such a disaster. The defense is so horrific. Like, Zeke is still Zeke, and he's so good at football, but man, it would be nice to see him in a better situation. Mike Davis is in a great spot to smash against Carolina. Teddy checkdown, loves him. Falcons defense is an absolute joke. So you know what? Seymour Bush, even though he's just starting 2 running backs, I like the Davis and Zeke start.
Yep. That's a real strong start there. So on the wide receiver side, Butthole Surfers only has 2 going, but they're very good. So Edelman, probably not going to be the greatest start, but Hopkins is obviously a stud. But I really like, Allen Robinson already played. He's a target hog. Adam Thielen is also white. Always seems to figure out a way to score points. Will Fuller is not my favorite fantasy player, but every time I say that, he scores a touchdown. So I'm going to have to give the check mark to Seymour Bush, just based on, he could have all 4 of his receivers score significant points.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. I like all those matchups for all 4 wide receivers for Bush. So pretty good. And Robinson didn't have a bang out game, but 10 catches for 90 yards.
Yep.
Yeah. That's solid to get us going. So tight ends, this is the greatest tight end matchup in the history of fantasy football, I think, at least for this season. You got Kelsey versus the Raiders, and you got Mark Andrews versus the Bengals. I'm actually going to go to Mark Andrews and Seymour Bush, and here's why. Lamar Jackson throws the ball to Mark Andrews. So every catch that Andrews gets is going to be offset by Lamar Jackson. Actually, I'm going the other way. I'm an idiot. I like Kelsey better against the Raiders. But the cancellation of the Lamar and Mark Andrews thing, that hurts. Mm-hmm. It hurts Andrews more than it hurts Lamar, because Lamar's going to get a lot of his points running, let's be honest. And he might throw a touchdown, but that's going to be a delta of just 2 points, Lamar scores so many points rushing that I think it's just going to mitigate that. Kelsey is going to be playing on his own out there. The Raiders, not a hugely great defense, and Kelsey always gets his. Maybe does he even have a touchdown yet this year? I feel like he doesn't. He
does. Yeah.
He had 2 in the first 2 games, but his the last 2 games, he's always going to have 75 yards and 5 catches. But if he gets in the zone, in the box, it's going to be great. So I'm going Kelsey here. I'm going Butthole Surfers, but it's close. Andrews is so good.
Yep. No, that's exactly what I would have said. So totally agree with you there. On the defensive side, you got to give it, it's not very strong. So on either side, Tracy Walker he's on bye this week, so I don't know who his backup would be to start.
He doesn't have a backup, so he's going to have to grab somebody off the scrap heap. But there's guys out there to start. So
yeah. It's really going to come down to, I think actually Hubbard and Bosa, surprisingly, in the fantasy world, is actually going to be pretty close. So I'm going to give the slight lean to Bobby just for Darius Leonard. Even though he's going against TJ Watt, who, in real football is probably one of the best outside linebackers in the whole game. From fantasy production, I'm just going to give a slight edge to Leonard, especially since they're playing the Browns. Skilled linebackers like that always give Baker problems. So very, very slight lean to the Butthole Surfers on the defense.
Yeah, I'm going to diverge from you a little bit on this, Big Cat, but
all right.
At the same position. Leonard he's very good. He's questionable. So he's been dealing with some injuries this year. And they just announced he's not playing this week.
Yep, it is 2 minutes ago.
Yep. So Bobby's going to be off the scrap heap over there too. But even if Darius Leonard was going, I would still lean to Seymour Bush on the strength of TJ Watt. The Eagles' offensive line is so fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
It is so bad. There are so many injuries. It's so messed up. A rush guy like Watt, they're going to be all up on Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz takes sacks. He takes them. He's like, it's funny because he's like Ben, except for not as good without the Super Bowls. And with that, he doesn't have the surrounding cast, right? When Ben was young and he took a bunch of sacks, that defense was so good, and the offense they had so many weapons that you could overcome it. The Eagles team is not that good, but it looks the same. He holds onto the ball, he tries to make plays, and he gets sacked. The Steelers have gone. I saw a thing the other night. Steelers have played 60 straight games with a sack. 60.
Yep, I believe it.
It's insane. So I think Watt is in line to have a multiple sack game. I think he's going to be draped all over Wentz. So I'm going to put the defense on this one over to our guy, Matty G and Seymour Bush. So that's where I have it. So GOP, I got 3 parts going to Seymour Bush. I got 3 going to the Butthole Surfers. It's going to be a gut call. Intangibles, Big Cat, who do you got?
I'm going to go with Seymour Bush here. I'm going to say Lamar isn't going to put up a crazy stat performance like he usually does. They're in a Super Bowl or bust mode. They'll probably take it easy on the Bengals, just get in there, get a win, get out, which does hurt Mark Andrews a little bit, but, that guy's probably going to catch at least 1 touchdown on a bad day. And then the defensive stuff we just talked about, 2 of the 3 positions, Bobby's going to be starting off the waiver wire. So give me Seymour Bush. I'm going to go 185 to 142 Seymour Bush.
Kind of a beating, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Seymour Bush has got it for me. It's on the strength of those wide receivers and running back. Those 6 guys that he starts are very good. You throw Andrews in there too. I think he'll be able to overcome Gardner Minshew. I have it going Seymour Bush pretty easily too. I would say he'll be in the 170s, I think. So like 173 to, like a 140-ish score over there for the Butthole Surfer. So that's what we got. We got our picks for the week. Good luck, boys. Last piece. The Big Cat's gambling corner.
All right, I'll go first since I spent far less time looking at this stuff.
Okay.
But I think in general, the first 4 weeks of the NFL, I think if you have opinions on teams, you can make some hay there. I think the last 4 weeks you can make some hay. In the middle is kind of all the lines are basically right. So I didn't really see anything jump off the page at me. My pick of the week is going to be Hotlanta. I know they're a hot mess, but law of averages, the theme for the Big Cat this week. Atlanta's 0-4. They're at home. They're only giving 1 point to a team that's far less talented than them. I think they can cover that 1 point. I'm going to take Atlanta.
There you go. I like it.
I'm just going to run through my picks here real quick. I'm going to go Pittsburgh -7 at home against Philly. They've been waiting 2 weeks to play football, and they're a good organization. Philadelphia, complete dumpster fire. I almost feel bad for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, he shouldn't have re-signed with Philly. He should have gone somewhere else. That's how I feel about that. He's going to get Andrew locked, in my opinion. So give me Pittsburgh -7. I see a blowout there. Continuing with the getting in and getting out theme, I'm going to take Cincinnati +13 against Baltimore. Yeah, obviously, you look at this, Baltimore, if they got some type of bonus, they could probably win 49-7 if they really wanted to. I just think it's going to be a sleepy game. I'm going to take Baltimore winning by 10 points there. Division games are always a little bit closer too. I'm going to take Tennessee as well because Tennessee is getting 8.5 points from the Buffalo Bills. All right, now I'm wearing a Bill shirt. I like the Bills, but there ain't no way that they're covering 8.5 points. It's just not going to happen.
A lot. That's a lot of points.
And you've seen it. You saw it in the playoffs last year. You've seen it already twice this year.
That
They
Rams
just can't.
game.
They just can't close out games.
Yeah.
And my boy Josh Allen seems to lose his mind a bit in the third quarter. So I'm going to take Tennessee there, plus 8.5. I'm also sticking with the underdog theme. I'm going to take the Chargers this week. What's the line on that one? Plus 7.5 against New Orleans. Now, obviously, New Orleans is a tough team. But I like the Chargers quarterback to keep it close. And I just don't think the Saints are as good as they used to be. Drew Brees did get the ball down the field a little bit more. Michael Thomas may be back, but even if he is, I would say it's going to be in a limited role. I'm going to take the Chargers to stay hot versus their expectations, and I'm going to take the Chargers there. My last game is going to be the Cowboys-Giants over. I watch a lot of football. I've watched a lot of football in my life. That Dallas Cowboys defense is one of the worst combination of just terrible talent and terrible effort that I've ever seen. I obviously have a lot of experience with terrible coaches. Mike McCarthy is a terrible coach. I'm glad the Browns did not hire him. I didn't want any part of that. He is a classic case of making a career off of a Hall of Fame quarterback. When you have Aaron Rodgers, he only won one Super Bowl too. I don't think that gets talked about enough. You're going to be perceived as a good coach. So I'm going to take the over in that game. I think the Cowboys will obviously score a lot of points, especially in the second half, and the Giants are going to be fired up. I mean, shit, they're only one game out of the division lead at this point. So
fucking disaster.
They're a dumpster fire too, but I'm going to take the over of 54, which is a big number, but I think it's going over.
Man,
And that's
like
that's a big Cat 6-pack of picks.
Ooh, big Cat. Well done. And a good wrap up too. All right. So we didn't talk about these picks before, but we do have some tails. I'm tailing you on a couple of these. My first one is going to be Pittsburgh -7. Agree. Pittsburgh actually good. Philadelphia actually not. I'm also going to go over in that game. It's only 44.5. That's a relatively low number. Pittsburgh got over 44.5 against the Denver and Pittsburgh game, went over 44.5. And then Texans and Pittsburgh went over 44.5. I think the Eagles are going to figure out a way to score a little bit on the Steelers. But I also think the Steelers could put a serious hurting on them and maybe get 30 up there. And if that's the case, then I think we can clear 44.5 pretty easily. So I'm also going to go with the Indianapolis Colts -1. I think that Browns team is a little bit of fool's gold after Dallas. Dallas is terrible. The Browns are not terrible, but the last time the Browns played a quality team defense, it was Baltimore. That didn't go so well. I think that the Indy defense is actually very good. I think that hey, look, man, if I'm Frank Reich, what am I going to say in the meetings? Make Baker Mayfield beat us.
Mm-hmm.
Just do that. Make Baker beat us, and I think Indy's got a pretty good defense even without Darius Leonard. So I'll take the Colts and -1. I've been making a lot of money on the Seattle Seahawks this year, taking them, covering big numbers. Guess what? They're going to cover again, -7 Seahawks. I love it. Cincinnati, Baltimore. I definitely toyed with that Cincinnati plus number, but I'm just going to go ahead and take the over. But I do agree with you. I think that Cincinnati's going to score more points than people think, and then Baltimore's going to have to keep on kind of pushing it and scoring a little bit. So that over is only 51. I think they can clear 51. I like that. And my last pick for the 6-pack is Atlanta -1.5 in my book. So I have 1.5, but I'm with you, Derek. I think they got to win somehow, and they are a more talented team, and they just got to fucking figure it out. It's insane to bet on Atlanta, though, right?
I mean, they haven't won a football game, so that's a problem.
It's like one of those teams that like I just can't. They're bad. I just don't believe it. They're bad. They've showed us they're bad, and guess what? I'm still betting on them. I don't care. But you know what I'm also going to do? I think is a little happy seventh play here. I'm going to go on the Dallas Giants over with you. Dallas over. I like that. I think that's good analysis right there, which also means that game's going to be 13-6, but whatever.
Yep.
So that's it.
All right, we made it. So remember to email those backup depth charts. That's going to be important. And good luck in week 5, and we'll see you all next week.
Yeah, congratulations. You've wasted another perfectly good hour of your life. You're 1 hour closer to death. Have a nice Friday. All right.